Marksmanship depends on how well a firearm is aligned with the target. This is the art of aiming. Welcome to Season 3 of Can We Chat? This podcast was made possible by our sponsors, FT3, Orange County's premier indoor shooting range, and Pinnacle Firearms Training, CCW, Fundamentals, and Advanced Gun Handling. Live defensively minded. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul G., Chief Safety Officer for the IDPA. This channel will help you simplify IDPA rules, shooting techniques, and keep you updated on the newest gear and what's going on in the shooting community. If you're new here, hit that free subscribe button. Please welcome back to the podcast my dear friend and shooting coach, Michael Hernandez. Good morning.
Good morning, man. Good to see you.
Thank you very much for getting out here.
My pleasure.
I see that you had a busy morning.
Busy morning, busy week. Yeah, it's always busy for me.
Thank you for gracing us with your presence. It's tough to get a hold of you. You're so. Why are you so busy?
Well, I mean, between my stuff, trying to have some kind of personal life, and running FT3 is, keeps you pretty busy place. So, we're coming off a SHOT Show too, so everybody's coming back, and so that means that the crowds get a little bigger, and we're in the middle of cleaning right now too, or every 4 month cleaning of the range. So we're down to just one side at the moment, so it makes it a little busy.
Every year you do a cleaning.
Every 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, a clean range is a happy range. So every 4 months we go and we mine it out.
Yeah, what does it take to clean a range?
What's it take to clean a range?
Yeah.
A specialized team that comes in. They have some really great machinery. For us, since we're a rubber-backed base range, they go and they pull the rubber out. They put it through a giant sifting machine that removes the lead, the particulates, the shotgun shells, everything we allow.
Okay.
Separates that out, cleans the rubber, and then they put that back. But it's about a 3-day process for one side, so it's about 6 days to do both ranges. Yeah,
you have two of them.
We'll end up pulling, somewhere between, depending on how level of a cleaning we're doing. This is a pretty deep cleaning, so if you could imagine, we'll probably pull close to maybe 80,000 pounds of lead out of the range.
Oh, no way!
It's about every 4 months.
What do they do with the lead?
It gets recycled.
Okay.
So yep.
And they take it or keep it, or do they?
It goes through different processes. So it's an interesting thing. It's messy for a little bit, and then it gets really clean and nice, and so it looks great. The backstop's black, and there's no more stuff in it.
Right.
And then somebody comes out and shoots the first round, and it's not that way anymore. So it looks good for 20 seconds, and then it starts getting shot up again.
What about the soundproofing and the pads that are the rubber pads up on the walls and so forth? Do you guys change that stuff?
Yeah, we're actually in the process of updating everything right now. We've applied most of the updates to the tactical side.
Yeah.
We've changed out the entire ceiling system to a much thicker, heavier sound distribution system. We're started moving that out over the ranges. It's just a slow process because we want to put the money into it, but so we're doing that. Static side, our general public side should be done at the beginning of February for the majority of its work, and then our next goal is to start pushing downrange a little bit farther.
Okay.
And our next goal is then to address the floor and some other things too. So we're looking at entirely. But right now, as it stands with what we've done in the stalls and on the current walls, we've dropped the DB rating significantly inside.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Spaces. Yeah, we're down about almost 11 to 12 dB depending on the caliber.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, which is a lot. So you can actually feel and hear that. You know, I mean, your average human hears a 3 dB change. Yeah. So if we get 6 at it, would be great. But we pushed a little farther than that. And in the stalls, it's significantly quieter. Unfortunately, we do face some challenges in California with some of the regulations, especially regarding the rifles. They all have
insane.
They have to have muzzle brakes on them. Instead of flash hiders, and muzzle brakes are, exponentially louder than that, and you put them in a stall, so it makes it very loud and unpleasant sometimes. But
I have a leftover Ingstad, right? Okay. So my muzzle brake is the one that goes straight, like a dragon's breath, straight out. It's very quiet for me, and it doesn't blow things in front of my face.
It's very pleasant for you, but everybody sitting next to you hates you. Yeah. I mean, that's why on our general public range we actually have extensions, and we extended out the stalls another 3 feet to help alleviate that a lot, because
that's crazy
when all your paper and stuff gets blown off from somewhere out of the rifle.
That is insane.
It's an interesting balancing act, because people come in and some people really don't like the rifles, and it's like, well, a lot of people do. So
I know that there's one a member who always gets on the front of the line, a young older gentleman. right?
Yeah, he gets there before we open.
Yeah.
He drives. He drives 3.5 hours to come to our range.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like he lives down the street.
No, I could have swore he was just really local because I always see him.
Nope. No. Yeah. No, he comes he drives about 3.5 hours to come to the range.
Yeah.
He does a lot of his main hobby is obviously reloading, very, very specific, meticulous reloading.
Right.
And working his actions on a lot of his bolt action rifles.
Yes.
Down to the nth degree.
Yeah.
So most of his stuff is just coming in and testing. Obviously he's not doing a lot of sighting.
I noticed that.
He does a lot of chronograph testing or just testing individual rounds, taking a lot of notes.
He's not very quiet when he tests.
No, they're big bore rifles. They are not 22s or little 5.56s in any way. They're big.
Any word from SHOT Show? Your staff share any cool stories that?
Well, of course. I mean, they all had a great time. They come back and they have a laundry list of guns that we now need at the range, for rental.
Of course. Well, you definitely need that.
I think I added that up, and it was somewhere close to, $25,000 worth of firearms or something. They're like, we want all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Wonderful. So we'll work on it.
Wait.
Well, I mean,
$25,000.
Well, they wanted,
How do you?
Of course, they want all the new Gen 6 Glocks. They want, or some new, I don't want to say the name because I'll butcher it. I don't remember what it is, but some new 2011 that's, super high end. And, we looked at it and it was, $8,000 and 16 months for it or something to wait for it. But
oh my gosh,
looks nice.
Yeah.
There's the new Smith & Wesson HDs, the all stainless steel version. That looks pretty interesting. There's the new 4-inch staccato carry that looks pretty cool. There's a lot of nice stuff out there.
Yeah, Staccato's up and coming. They made a huge marketing push. I would have to say starting last year and then
last couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they did the same thing. That they followed a good path.
Yeah.
And you go to the police guys first, which is always interesting to me. Is that you go to the guys that are least gun oriented. I say that in a very loving way, but police officers' priority is not a firearm at all.
No.
And you go to those guys, but you get them excited about carrying something new because it's not their priority, but they also don't like carrying the boring stuff they carry. Right? It's like everybody's got one of these. So they got them into those guys, and then that filters down because then everybody wants what they're doing. It's like if the military comes out with something new, then everybody in the gun industry wants whatever the military's got. Right?
Really? Is that true?
I mean, it filters down. I mean, M4s became really popular. Short-barreled rifles became popular because the M4. Everybody's looking at doing the new SIG. It's when they switched from 1911s, everybody went to Striker. It's always camo colors or equipment. It trickles down because it gets tested there, or it gets invented in the civilian industry and goes backwards.
Okay. All right.
But if it's good enough for the military, if it's mil spec and it's good enough for them, it's got to be good enough for me. But you always have that excitement level because they pump those things up.
You like Striker Fire or Hammer?
I love them both. I started on Hammer.
Yeah.
I started on 1911s. Yeah. That's where I started. I love them. They have a very dear spot.
You're very good at it.
I'm okay with the 1911. Yeah. So I don't shoot them regularly, and the main reason I get asked this question a lot: why don't you shoot the gun that you love the most? Because people go, "Why don't you run a 2011?"
Well, that would make sense.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of 2011. I have a couple.
I know you do.
I've got several 2011s. I have several 1911s, but typically I run. My majority gun is I run an M&P metal, a competition version. I have for a long time. I've run M&Ps for a long time.
Specific reason why, or
the specific reason is a fundamental one. I'm lazy. So it comes down to this. I know it sounds terrible.
Stop it.
No. Well, I train a lot. Obviously.
Well, you're on the range.
I'm on the range a lot.
Yeah.
And I've run my 1911s in classes before, and I've run my 2011s in classes before. I've held specific 1911 classes before because there's a skill to shooting those. There's a lot of, skill to drawing one and activating them, working them well.
I'd say with a Striker Fire as well, right?
Yeah, but I've done like dedicated 2011, 1911 classes because you get guys that are coming off of a Striker Fire Glock and they don't know what a thumb safety is. They don't know what a grip safety is.
All right, good point.
There's not that maintenance. I mean, it's a gun that they're phenomenal firearms, but ideally you have to lubricate them every time you use them, right? You got to put a couple drops in them every time you use them. So it takes one more moment, right? They don't shoot as many rounds until they need a little bit more love and service and dedication.
Right.
I'll be honest. The M&Ps, they're great guns. I love them. They're ergonomically very similar. The grip angle's the same. The new 2.0s are phenomenal upgrades. The metals are incredibly nice guns. So I don't have to worry about it though. I don't have to clean it very often.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
don't
right.
I can just, it comes out of the safe. I put it on, I go down, I shoot the class, I come back, it gets thrown back in there. Maybe in a couple of months I'll be like, I should probably wipe it down, wipe it down, clean it. But I just don't take the time to, the 1911s and 2011s would slow me down, not in a bad way, but they slow you down, and there's some methodicalness to them. You have to take care of them. You have to run them.
Right.
And I just at this moment right now in my time, I choose not to do that.
But when you're shooting and tolerances and so forth and accuracy and it all comes together, don't you think that the firearm should be just as anal or?
I do, but I mean, I don't think you can outshoot a gun. I mean, a modern gun, a 2011, even a 1911, with a good barrel in it and solid ammo, even a Glock and MP, it doesn't matter. You can't outshoot them. They just are more accurate than we are as individuals.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's sure up close and personal. Sure, anything is going to be the same at distance. I'm sure somebody out there is going to nitpick this stuff. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's always that.
That's what the comments are for.
That's what the comments are for. But if you're going to ask me to hold a pistol and shoot it at any given distance, give me any gun, and it's going to be the same result. I'm going to hit the target. Yeah. And it doesn't matter to me if it's a quarter inch to the right or quarter inch to the left, as long as I hit the target. But they're more? I guess guns come down to enjoyability. I've always said guns are a very personal thing. People always say, well, what gun should I buy? I don't know. I don't. I can give you what guns that I enjoy. I can give you reasons why this gun may work better for you. But it's going to come down to when you put that gun in your hand and how it points for you, how it feels in your hand, if you enjoy shooting that gun or not. Yeah. It all comes down to that. I mean, 1911s point for me. Yeah. Just they point at the target. 2011s do the same thing. Yeah. My MPs do the same thing. That's one reason I enjoy them. I don't have to struggle with the gun. If I'm struggling with the gun a little bit, it's less enjoyable. Now I can obviously master that gun and work on it and learn to like it. But again, I value my time. Yeah. And it comes down to do I want to spend time learning a whole new platform, or do I want to improve on the platform I have and become a better shooter?
It's interesting, which brings us to our subject today is aiming a gun. Mm-hmm. I attempted to try to shoot in competition a Glock. It's my 17-34s and so forth. But it was just there, and it wasn't specific until I started shooting my STI, right? And now whatever I point at, that's where my hole was, and I'm like, why can't every gun be like that, right? But there are different.
Grip angle is important,
but there are different setups for aiming, right? So
sure, absolutely.
I know a 4. Right, so there's the ones that TJ taught us with a point and shoot, right? Right. And then we have iron sights, optics, and or red dots now, and then lasers, right? So
yeah.
So
I don't count lasers on that list, but that's fine.
They gain popularity on PCCs.
Lasers?
Especially on the East Coast, right? I went over there, started showing up, and these guys had lasers on them. I'm like, what the hell? Is this an Amazon thing? But, they start you in a position, right? Butt on belt and so forth, and, it's down here, and they're already pointing at the target, right? So they just, from the hip. I'm like, well, still, you need to put that up to your face eventually, right?
It was modern cowboy shooting, I guess.
I don't know. I thought it was more, just souvenir-ish kind of thing, right? So why would you want to do something like that? But
hip shooting is an interesting tactic. It's a good skill to have. Even from a pistol, good retention shooting. I was just doing a retention class the other day. Yeah. It's a fundamental skill you should have. I've got a shotgun hip point shooting class coming up in like a month or so. Yeah. It's a practical process, but it doesn't require a laser.
No.
It's funny. I've always felt that lasers are great for cats. Right? If you own a cat, have a laser, and life's great. There are obviously very clear circumstances that lasers work very well over distances for rifles, but lasers, like anything else, I think we have to remember too that lasers are I watch people struggle at the range all the time with their laser. Yes. And I simply walk out and I remind them of one very specific thing. Your laser's only zeroed at one distance. Yeah. Right? When you're not at that distance anymore, the laser will no longer hit
Good point.
right where you are. So if the target moves forward or backwards,
right.
the laser's guiding you to the target that you're on target, but it doesn't mean that you're going to hit where the laser's directed.
Right.
Right. And some people, they forget that. They think they'll sit there and struggle, and they're like, well, it doesn't shoot at 7 yards that it does at 25. It's like, well, no, you have to pick one or the other. Where do you want it to be?
Right.
And to me, unless you have a specific disability that requires use of a laser, from a practical purpose, especially on a handgun, I don't think lasers are unnecessary. Open the comments up. I'm sure everybody's out there.
Here we go.
Here we go. But a laser has never been what I would consider a beneficial thing for a handgun, per se. For rifles, sure, in combat situations, absolutely. Green lasers, the infrared stuff, the things that you see, the intimidation factor, of a laser, a bunch of little green lights on your chest.
I think it's one more.
I wouldn't want to be in that situation, but it's from a practical standpoint on an everyday carry, it's just more bulk. It's just one more thing to have a battery, and it's just. I don't know.
Besides that, once you turn the laser on, I mean that's one thing to slow you down. I mean, right? You got to kind of align it and so forth.
Well, it's like anything else. If you're taking something that's distracting you away from the ultimate goal, which is the target, and you're focusing your attention on something else, you're not paying attention to key things. You're not paying attention to situational awareness. You're not paying attention to your environment. You're not paying attention to the background. You're not paying attention to the target and what it's doing. You're certainly not paying attention necessarily to your gun. And when you start deviating your attention away from those important things, I don't think they're beneficial.
Right.
So if there's things that you tick on your box that says, hey, this is distracting me from this, this, and this, maybe you need to reassess those things. And that's the way I really look at it. It's a high distraction that's unnecessary. If you train properly, you learn how to point shoot properly, you learn how to aim properly, you don't need a laser. It's a device for, I don't want to say, I'm trying to word this well because I've already probably done enough comment flaming today. It's for people that either don't seek out the right advice, don't seek out the right training, or simply don't want to put the time and effort into things. But the problem is that it's a horrible choice to rely on because it distracts you from everything else that's more important.
I would have to agree. For me in competition, I would only use it for one thing, which would be my very first initial target to get me out of the hole. But how often would I do that? Especially from retention, I'd sit there like, oh, well, now is it worth the wait and filling with an extra button or on and off switch?
Yeah, I mean, anything you're doing in a retention, you're going to be at close distance anyways. You're not shooting retention at 10, 15 yards, right? This is 3 yards in retention. Even with a rifle or a shotgun, maybe 5 yards because you're using the barrel length to help alleviate some of that distance. But a good hip shot, I don't think you need one if you just train well.
That's right. So I picked up on the point and shoot method, right? And
you don't need sights if you train well.
I lean on that. So let's talk about the point and shoot.
Okay.
So point and shoot. What exactly is point and shoot technique?
Instinctive shooting. It is a way to forego any type of sight system. Use the gun and your natural body alignment and indexing off a already well-established presentation, and follow through on a shot at any given distance. It's ideal typically for up close shooting where I don't have time for sight confirmation.
Right.
And I'm specifically saying sight confirmation because in really close distances, I don't have to have perfect sight alignment. I don't have to have a perfect red dot picture. I don't have to have my laser turned on. I just have to be confirmed that I'm on target. And really, if we're starting to speed things up before we take that step into point shooting, we're backing it down from a rock solid, perfect, quote unquote, iron sight alignment picture or a perfect centered red dot picture that's not moving and pressing that trigger to a quick flash shot picture. All right, my sights are generally aligned. My red dot's on the area that I want to shoot, pop, and I take the shot. And then the next step is to stop getting that confirmation and using my natural indexing and body alignments to make sure the gun is aligned and just taking that shot.
So you're talking like shoulder to shoulder on your
talking
target?
Shoulder, hip space. I mean, that's where you want to start. Obviously, we want to start. You have to start from a good fundamental position of your presentation. I think point shooting, I typically, if I were to take a brand new shooter from the ground up, if they will eliminate any eye issues. Eye issues will because we'll fork really quickly.
Right.
I have a shooter that has some eye issues that they could not handle iron sights. They were having trouble with red dot. So we just taught them right off the bat how to point shoot. And once they got that, then the red dot came.
Okay.
But iron sights is not an option for this
that's
person.
Fascinating.
Not even an option. So,
do you recommend aligning your upper body or your lower body or both? Or
well, I obviously like. It depends again. If you're training and starting to build from the ground up, you start with everything aligned.
Okay.
As you start to advance out and you're getting into
and
movement and things
choose.
there, you're kind of picking and choosing, but it's always going to come up to those shoulders. We talk about this in class a lot too when it comes to the grip. The more you move your shoulders left and right, you actually start adjusting and changing your grip.
Yeah, right.
We've talked about this,
Right.
Well, I'm changing the alignment of the gun every time I do that. So I have to solidify that in the first place. And if you think about it from the standpoint, if I do simple point shooting, like our simple task for do that is get you lined up on the target straight, bring your gun up to your natural presentation point, and if the back of the gun, especially on a striker fire gun or even a hammer fire gun, the back of that gun is covering the general area of the target that you want to hit, press the trigger.
Pretty close,
that's the back of the gun is equal to the bore of the muzzle.
Right.
So press the trigger and boom, you hit your shot.
Are you actually looking at your gun though, or are you just
peripheral vision?
Okay.
I mean, it's now in front of me.
Yes.
You're staring at the target. You've set your intent. You're where you want to shoot your round, and you bring the gun up, and now suddenly the gun is covering that. A lot of people cheat and they want to look over the gun.
Yeah.
Which is again why point shooting doesn't work or sights don't work is when you cheat yourself and you're trying to see over the gun. You have to get the gun in front of your face and cover things and use those things. So it's the same general presentation. I don't want you to change that, but you're a little bit more cognizant of the back of the gun.
Yeah.
Because what we're looking for is, if I'm way off, hey, I can see the left side of the slide.
Okay.
Well, then I'm going to shoot left. If I see the right side of the slide, I'm shooting right.
Right.
So I have to be cognizant of my wrist position and things like that. Yeah. So it's a process. You start relatively slow, and you really have to key up on you. You have to be very in tune with you as a person. So what my presentation, where are my wrists, where are my hands in that presentation, and bring that gun up, cover the target. And when I'm covering the target, press the shot.
You know what? I've watched. I've sitting there and I'm like, okay, so you actually demonstrated that to the class, and you pointed and shot, and your groupings are better than my, taking my iron sights up. So I'm just wondering, how do you practice that stuff?
How do I practice that a lot. I have a gun without sights on it, and I run the target out to 25 yards.
Really? So you don't rely on the sighting systems. You just sit there and work on your innate.
Yeah. Well, you also learn how to use the gun itself, the slide itself. You're using those indexing points. If you look at a slide, it's got these two nice horizontal channels that are running right down the side of it, right where the slide, either curved or if you got or boxier slide. Yeah. Two lines that are pointing right at the target, and so you line those up kind of like a road, and you put them on target, and boom, it's people. It's fascinating because they have like this. Wow, it's like dark magic or something. It's like no.
Yeah.
I mean, if we go back to people who pick up point shooting really well, shotgun shooters.
Oh, of course.
They don't have. They got a bead, maybe.
Yeah, right. You're sitting there like, well, how the hell are you aim at this bead, right? But it's fascinating how accurate you can actually get with that bead.
Yeah, you can be incredibly accurate with a bead on a shotgun,
right?
Especially with slug. I mean, that's not a problem.
So you're just saying you just got to learn your gun.
You just have to learn your gun, but you have to. The main thing is consistency. If you're not consistent in your presentation, point shooting is not going to be very successful for you.
Got it.
So you have to be very consistent in the presentation and work through that slowly. And once you build up that muscle memory, for lack of a better term, once you build that up and you can consistently draw the gun, it starts with the draw. Yeah. You have to have a good draw, have to get a good presentation, but you get that key and you stop cheating yourself. It works really well. Again, the biggest thing I see in most classes is that shooters, they want to cheat themselves. They're not cheating anything else. They're not making themselves faster. They're not making themselves more accurate. Yeah. So they're not cheating on that plus side, but they're cheating themselves because they don't bring the gun up in front of their face. The gun has to be up in front of your face.
You got to get behind it.
You got to get behind the gun. Yeah. And they all want to look over the gun. And it's like, well, I can't see my red dot. Well, no, or I'm shooting high. Well, yeah, because, the front sight's up here because you can see it, but the back of the gun's down here. Right. Or they do these things. It's like you have to get the gun up in front of you. And that's a hard thing for them to understand. Right. They're like, well, I can't see the target. But the gun can. That's where the gun's pointed now. So press the trigger. Oh, look at that. So it's, but trying to get them to do that consistently. So
aligning the gun, you just pretty much take a general concept of the back of the gun and put it toward the target.
Put it at the target. Look at the target where you want to point, and then point the gun in front at the target as point at it.
Right.
And if the back of the gun is now covering that general area,
boom,
and you don't see
you're all set.
a blatant left or right of the gun, press your shot, and you'll end up with groups that are nicer than your iron sights.
So therefore, we move on to our next system, which would actually be iron sights.
Yep.
Now you have to align the back with the front. Now you have 2 reference points.
Now, see, here's an interesting concept. What do you do? Do you start with iron sights first? Do you start with point shooting first?
Okay, so that was my next question. So what do you do?
Well, again, it's assessment of the shooter,
Okay.
right, what they're capable of. So we take my example of my one shooter. It wasn't going to happen. So, but on average, your average shooter, iron sights. The nice part about starting with iron sights first is they force alignment, right? Okay. Because we all know we have a rear sight that we have to align with the front sight, and all those things.
And so it gets technical, right?
It gets very technical.
You have very small little things, and if you can't see that stuff, right?
If you can't see that stuff, it gets technical. Plus, we have the overpopularity of 3-dot sights where you got 2 whites on the back and a white on the front,
which
and then your brain's like,
hate.
what am I supposed to do with this?
Until you start breaking out Sharpies and stuff.
Start breaking out Sharpies and fixing your problem. You go, wow, look at that, I only need 1 dot. Yeah, you only need 1 dot. Or the perfect marketing solution for that is, we'll just make the front sight a different color. Right? We're still going to confuse you because you got, it's night sights. I love the premise behind this. It's like the rear sights glow so you can see them, and the front sight glows so you can see them. And you line the 3 glowy things in the middle of the night, and you can shoot whatever you want. Okay, or just align the gun. I mean, either way,
Okay.
If I don't need the 3 glowy things, I need 1 glowy thing, which is the front sight.
Right.
All you really need is the front sight.
Yeah.
The rear sight reconfirms the fact, because again, you have anywhere from off your hand, depending on your gun length, 3.5, 4, 5 inches of gun out there.
Yeah.
And obviously, clearly, the front sight can move independently of the back. So you could be out of alignment. That's what the rear sight's doing for you, is you're keeping it in that channel to keeping sure that the gun's aligned straight over your dominant eye, right? That's another important part of iron sights, to a point. Once you start, just a slight deviation here, once you start point shooting a lot or red dot a lot, like now when I shoot iron sights, I don't put them over my dominant eye anymore. I just treat them like a red dot.
Yeah.
I'm just getting that confirmation.
Right.
So you go back to that kind of center thing. But when you're initially starting, we want to use our dominant eye to get that good alignment, because if not, we're dealing with parallax issues and offset issues and perception area issues and all kinds of things going on with people's eyes. And one eye closed. It's amazing to me how many people come in and are like, you can't shoot with one eye closed. You can't see anything. What about this side over here?
Right.
If you're paying attention to what's going on over here, you're not paying attention. Again, you're not paying attention to what's going on in front of you. It's designed to find that alignment. So starting with, I think, iron sights is a better choice, because it teaches that good solid alignment, that good solid presentation, and you get that consistency.
So how do you use iron sights? So you just pretty much get the red dot to be in the square of the rear sight, somewhere in there, or?
I mean, yes and no. Okay. Iron sights are multifaceted from that standpoint.
Yeah, they are.
Your average iron sight gun from a manufacturer is typically 0 to about 15 yards, 15 to 25 yards.
Okay.
It will be in the manual, typically. The manual will tell you.
It's right there.
But if you don't care to read that or notice that it comes in the box, throw that out. But the true accuracy of an iron sight is the top of the sight, not that little dot, not the white dot.
This is true.
That little white dot is really a quick alignment combat dot, right?
Yeah.
I see the white dot, I pop the shot.
Right.
But I'm now at 15 yards or 25 yards. I want some accuracy. I actually want to place my shot someplace. Then we have to switch over to that nice little top of that iron sight, and that needs to line up with our rear sight.
Okay.
And it's funny because I hear, and that's true. We've got a rear sight. We want the front sight lined up, and we want those level and equal height, equal light, right? Great saying. What they don't finish, nobody ever finishes anything in firearms, right? It's like no follow through. Equal height, equal light for the zero distance. Because if you bring the target in closer and you do that, why am I shooting low? Well, it's because you got to bring the front sight up.
Right.
The front sight still has to adjust based on the target, how close it is to you.
It's because you can't put the whole paragraph on the back of a shirt.
I know.
Okay.
Or on a hat.
Right. Okay.
Hang on, I got a thing that pulls out. I got to read the rest of the hat. So you have to follow through and finish the entire statement, and because that's the struggle that I see a lot of people are learning iron sights is like, I'm still shooting low.
Yes.
Because you're leveling everything flat, bring the front sight up a little bit, and suddenly they're hitting where they want.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we move out to distance, like, okay, quit paying attention to the big white circle on the front of the sight. Use the top of the sight, and suddenly they start hitting things. Like we had this experience just recently.
Yes.
right? It was what, your little 365 macro?
Yes.
I was actually looking at one of those the other day.
Were you?
Well, after I shot yours, I'm like, this is really nice.
At 25 yards. Well, first of all, it just fits my hand.
Yeah.
How many guns do you have that actually fits your hand?
All the ones I shoot.
Oh, okay.
That's why I carry a bigger gun too. I don't carry a really small gun.
Well, like the SIGs, right? I love the SIGs because they're in a lot of movies and so forth. But the SIGs, they're like really either too long or too thick, right, or too fat. I'm sitting there like it just doesn't fit my hand.
Yeah.
But I just got the macro, put it in my hand. I'm like, oh my gosh, finally. It's been a while, right? And then it actually shoots, or it shows when I shoot.
Well, what's interesting is your hand adapts because when I started shooting 1911s, 1911s are pretty thin.
Yes.
Right. I had no problem holding on to those.
Yeah.
And then I went to striker fired with M&Ps, and you got the adjustable back straps.
Right.
So you tune one out. It's funny because I have several M&Ps. But depending on their frame size will slightly determine their grip.
Right.
So a compact, I run a smaller grip size than I do on a full size.
Right.
Nonetheless. But it's a little fatter.
Yeah.
Not as big as a 2011.
Because it double stacked.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
2011 though, you got these, two-handed grips on these things. And I've been shooting those for so long, and then I go back to my 1911s every now and then, and they feel really like I can't hold on. It's like, what do I do?
It's like the gun's kind of rolling around your hand.
It's rolling around my hand. So it's like, I know obviously my hand didn't grow, but it's like the muscle structure gets used to what it's doing.
Yeah.
And then you go pick up a 2011, they feel nice. But yeah, I agree. There's a lot of guns out there that are phenomenal firearms. Yeah. But when you put them in your hand and you try to point them, they just do something weird because of the grip. Right. And that's the important part is like, don't buy a gun because of the name on the gun or because your buddy likes it or because my police officer friend told me to get it. It has nothing to do with that. He was issued that gun. So he's been forced to learn how to use that gun. Right. He didn't choose that gun. Right. But if you have the opportunity to stand in a gun store or a gun range and rent guns, choose a gun regardless of who makes the gun. Because it fits in your hand well, it's comfortable, and you can shoot the gun naturally without really trying to get a lot of alignment. And once you do that, shooting is going to be a great time. The problem is I see so many people who've purchased guns based on marketing or friends' recommendations, never really handled the gun. They put it in their hand, and it doesn't sit right. It's too big, too small, too short, and then they struggle with the gun, and it doesn't matter.
Especially when you fire it, right? Yeah. It starts jumping around, and if you don't have it secured, right,
you can't grip the gun well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's a lot of smaller guns like the little 365s or some of the smaller guns. Those are one-handed guns. I just shoot them one-handed. It's just so much easier, boom, boom, boom. Because they're small, they don't have a lot of recoil. It's easy to do. But I'm not going to bother putting my other hand on there because it's too small to do that. But your macro is nice. It had a little extension on it. It's got a little bit longer. So it was a very pleasant gun to shoot. But we talked about the iron sight thing.
Yes.
Right? Because you were struggling a little bit.
Well,
at 25 yards
I like to get the red dot and just throw it onto the target. But when you're shooting at distance, which we were at 25 yards, right? And it was cool shooting through the
stalls.
I'm like, please don't hit the wall. Please don't.
You had 4.5 feet, man.
But when you're shooting at that stuff, all you have to do is, sit there and I'm able to stabilize the gun. So which I did. I just stabilized it, and I'm like, you're aiming way too high, right? So it's the top of the sight, and I'm like, huh. So I brought it down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's right.
Occasionally,
damn it.
Occasionally get that. So basically you're splitting the circle. You split the circle off the rear sight, and suddenly you're dinging steel like there's no tomorrow.
You were even saying take your red dot and cut it in half.
Yeah, just split the circle. If you don't have enough acuity in your vision to see the top of the edge of the top of the front sight, then just do something simple. Cut this big circle, the big trash can you have on the front of that sight. Cut it in half and put it on the target. So you only like a half moon on the target. Yeah. And you'll hit the target. And you did. You did bing, 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 25 yards. You're hitting that little 6-inch steel plate all day.
Right.
It wasn't we were shooting a big steel. It was only it was like an 8-inch steel plate.
Yeah, it was center mass, right?
Yeah.
You're shooting at 25 yards. And I go, oh, this is insane.
Yeah. A little 3-inch barrel.
I'm going to go get a razor blade.
Put some quarters out there for you. Knock those things off.
But I didn't think iron sights can get that accurate, which
iron sights are immensely accurate. You put them on a rifle,
before the
300, 500 yards.
I would say bullshit. There's no way. But
well,
you're
guys
absolutely
have been
right.
shooting on iron sights for longer
Yeah,
than we've been
all right,
shooting without
longer.
anything else. You know, I mean, you go back and it was interesting. I saw a post the other day at some guy who was probably 20 something, you know, just this young buck. He's just like, I'm going to make this really controversial statement. You know, iron sights are more accurate than red dots.
Whoa.
And I mean, you know, it's like 10,000 comments on this.
Oh,
thing,
I'm sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
people just turn flames on for fun, and I'm sure we just boosted your thing on this by saying that too. And I don't necessarily disagree with him.
Really?
In certain circumstances, they can be significantly more accurate. But it's like anything else. It's the choices that you make, right? If it's on a rifle,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's nothing really stopping you except your own vision limitations.
That's
just
true.
shooting a rifle.
Okay.
You know, you give me iron sights on a rifle, 300 yards is not a problem. I mean, the Marine Corps has been doing that. They were shooting 1,000 yards with iron sights. You know,
Sure.
That's what they trained them on. They
Right.
can do it.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, but you got to have a good front sight post, and you make the adjustments, and you do the work. But on a handgun, it's a little more difficult based on sight radius. You know, the closer that front sight is, the less distinctiveness you get, the less easy it is. It's easier to make the picture. So, you know, 5-inch handguns obviously going to have a better chance of. It's not ballistics, it's not the barrel,
Yeah.
it's simply the sight system. If you
Yes.
can stretch that sight system out, you can go long distances with handguns. It's not a problem. But then how do you say, okay, well, wait a minute, how do you take point shooting skills and then sit there and ding steel at 85 yards all day? Okay, well, there's no sights involved. But what is involved? It's pointing
Point
and
shooting,
and
yeah.
you're indexing. Well, that came from good use of iron sights in the first place. The iron sights, as any sight system they're confirmation of that you've got the gun aligned.
Okay.
Right? So, you know, I can do that. I can pull a gun out and, you know, hit a target 25, 85 yards, no sights, no problem. It's faster if I have some kind of sight confirmation other than like, yep, I feel good about this, you know. And then, so iron sights are one way to do that, and they're good, but you do have to have the ability to see that iron sight. And, you know, as we get a little older, it's a little harder to see up close. You know, I pull out my readers and no problem. I can see that front sight all day long. It makes it a little bit easier, but I don't walk around, you know, I'm not getting a gunfight with readers on. So, you know, second, let me put these on. Let me put on my shooting gloves, you know, put on my kit on, and we'll go. It's not going to happen that way. So you have to train for what you are, right? When I started 20 years ago, iron sights all day long because I had phenomenal close-up vision. The target was always out of focus.
Yeah.
I just walked around.
For me, the
world was out of focus.
Yeah.
I had great close-up vision, but I had horrible distance vision.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I can't remember how long ago I had LASIK, a number of years ago. And I had a great eye doctor who's a shooter.
Yeah.
And he's like, where do you want this set up at? I'm like, at my front sight distance.
Yeah.
Right. So we brought in some dummy guns. We set it up.
You know,
so
I
my
love
vision
that
starts
story.
there. My vision starts there.
Love that
But it gives me
story.
this phenomenal distance vision. So yeah, red dots work great for me. You know, 25 are not a problem. I can see 100 yards. But if the front sight is out beyond my start distance, then it works really well.
Yeah.
But if it's within my start distance on a short barrel gun, I have some trouble. Right? If it's you know,
Right.
trying to get it out there, if I can't get it in that where my vision starts, it's a problem for me. All I see is big blurs now, right?
Yeah.
I got a blurry thing here and a blurry thing there, so it doesn't matter. So I have to rely on the point shoot.
So that's why they have carry optics now, right? Red dots to change or to get rid of the guessing and be a little bit more specific.
Because they're infinite. You know, it's all you have to do is stare at the target. But to go back to the original base question, are iron sights more accurate than red dots? They can be. I don't think it's a definitive line you can draw in the sand.
Okay.
Because there's too many variables. Number one, what red dot are we talking about? Are we talking about a 1 MOA red dot, or are we talking about a 5 MOA red dot?
Right.
Right. Are we talking about it being circular shaped or a triangular shaped or a physical dot? Are we talking about, is it super bright outside? What's the target? You know, all those things. And then on the iron sights, you have those variables too. Sense is, how wide is your front sight post? You know, I've got some 1911s that have really narrow front sight posts for accuracy, but they have thicker front sight posts for speed.
Yeah.
Or a thicker front sight post can be faster than a thinner one. Thinner one's great for distance shooting. You know, if you want to shoot at 25, 30, 40, 50 yards with an iron sight gun, you're going to want a very narrow front sight post and a very narrow rear channel sight. So you're going to change those sights.
Sure.
Right? You're going to end up with these very narrow combinations. If you want a faster one, you're going to want a wider U in the back, and you're going to want a fatter front blade because you can find that faster.
Yeah.
So it's a question with a lot of legs on it. There's a lot of roots in there. You can't just say, no, they are, yes, they aren't. If you match them up, you say, okay, fine, we'll give you equivalency of an iron sight system that's 1 MOA, and we give you a red dot with 1 MOA.
Yeah.
and you start getting out on target distances. Up close, I say they're with the right shooter, they're probably a neutral draw.
Okay.
Because in both of those circumstances, you're not going to use the sights. What are you really going to use? You're going to point shoot the gun.
Of course.
Right?
You cheater.
So, okay, fine. I have to use the sights. I'll use the sights. It's still going to be the same because the presentation is exactly the same.
Yeah.
To come up and see that red dot or come up and see the alignment on the front sight, I still have to train to that presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about equal. When I start getting out to distances, that variable, that front sight on that iron sight's probably going to be a little bit more accurate because I don't have the variables of offset, glow,
right,
brightness, everything else, reflection. But it may not necessarily be faster. If we're just talking speed, the red dot's going to win hands down, right? Red dot's going to be faster.
Okay.
Because I don't have multiple things I'm trying to confirm, and I can maintain one target location. Right? So I have to steer, boop, right?
So there's a difference between optics and red dots.
Well, optics in general.
Okay.
We'll use optics as a general word.
So the red dot, the optics itself.
So talking variable optics.
Okay, very. Well,
that would be outside.
That would be
of this.
for longer guns and so forth. So the red dots itself, it's a lot shorter, no alignment, right? Well, shorter alignment because it's all self-contained.
Well, the self-contained part has nothing to do with its accuracy. Because you have to remember, it's not projecting. It's not a laser, so it's not projecting this direction. Why does it show up on the target?
Right.
It shows up on the target because it's an optical illusion, right? It's coming out of the base. If we were to look at a little red dot, it's coming here out of the base up at an angle, being reflected back to the glass, and then straight out this way into our eye. And our eye's receptors pick that up, and our brain projects that image. What's nice is that we're looking beyond that sighting system to the target itself.
Yes.
And when we do it well and we do it right and we have good 2-eye open stereo vision coming up, it's an optical illusion that red dot is floating on that target. That's why it's transparent and the gun kind of disappears. You know, our brain has a remarkable way of photoshopping most of the world that we see.
Sure.
So you know, we don't see our nose unless we close an eye or things like that. So that's what's happening. When I get that gun in front of my face, most of the gun should disappear. And even though there's parts of the gun blocking the target, if things are working the way they're supposed to with my vision and my eyes, I can completely see the entire target that's being blocked by the gun, and there's a little red dot floating on the target. Great. Bang.
Wherever the dot is.
Wherever the dot is.
And that's where your hole will be.
Well.
Hopefully.
Well, again, if we go back to the laser or iron sights or anything else, there's still zeroing of an optic red dot.
Correct.
So we still have a 0 point, say it's 15 yards.
Right.
At 15 yards, yes, the exact point of aim should be the point of impact. Any deviation beyond that or below that, we do start to change the point of impact and point of aim. They start to separate.
Okay.
That's a given.
Yeah.
Right? It's not significant though, right? If you set your gun up correctly, given it 15 yards with 9mm, even at 5 yards, you're talking, quarter inch, maybe half inch or less.
Right.
It depends on your trigger pull and everything.
And you're not even talking about moving and so forth
or
as well
else.
when you're shooting. So
So the deviation's very small. It's not even consequential.
So whether it's a laser or a sight or front of a gun or a dot itself, as long as it comes across your the target or the section of like the zero, right, you can just go ahead and pull that trigger there.
Yeah. The nice thing about the downside on iron sights in comparison to an optic or a red dot is that they require really good alignment.
Yeah.
Right. I have a very narrow field that I can move off of this, but as I do, it moves that front sight, so I end up moving the gun to realign. So if I'm over here, I'm actually going to shoot over there.
Yeah.
A red dot, I've got a lot of waver inside when I'm looking through on that glass. You can move your head a lot, and that dot appears to move.
Yeah.
It's really not. It's just its projection angle's changing in relevance to my head receptors, but it's not changing on the target. So, it looks like I'm way over here in the square now. I might be over here with the dot, but it hasn't moved, and the muzzle hasn't moved, and the angle of shot hasn't moved. It's just the angle of reflection into my eyes moved.
Why is it that we can see red dots and green dots and so forth better than we can see front sights?
Well, front sights are typically black.
Okay.
But they're white. There's all. If you go back a little bit into history, gold front sights were really big gold dots. Like you go over in the
shotguns.
Shotguns are big. Those were really big too. In 1911 competitions early on, everybody had a big gold because it just the sun glint off that thing. It was just a beacon of accuracy.
Old baby.
Yeah, lights the target up and pop. Great. Life is good. We went to fiber optics for a lot of guns. I like fiber optics. I run a fiber optic on a gun that has just iron sights on it. I like a big red fiber optic. It's very reminiscent of a red dot. It lights up in the sun really well. You can see it, boom, and you shoot it. You don't have to worry about it.
Right.
The white ones are easy to manufacture. They glow. They might glow. There's orange, there's green. Trijicomic's a couple of different colors.
Right.
Typically where most people, on average, are color sensitive to both. Some people are less color sensitive.
Right.
So, green comes in a lot of play for people, works really well with people with stigmatisms.
Yes.
They work very, very well for. Or
low light.
And low light, it can work very well. Red works really well in low light too. But again, it also helps if the red dot or the green dot itself is turned down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
You flare.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I had a class the other day with somebody, and one thing is basically he was having trouble. I walked over and I'm just like, it was just this ball of fire, and I'm like, let's just turn this down a little bit. He's like, wow, that is so much better. Yeah, you don't need the ball of fire because it was blocking most of his target.
Well, it takes this. Okay. That's more specific.
It's like when I tell people, I suggest to them, when you're zeroing your gun, dim your dot as far as you can that you can still see it because you want that full transparency, and you'll get a much more accurate zero than you will if it's bright, right? Dim it down and you can just barely make it out, but you can see through it, and your accuracy is going to go up. And if you can shoot it that way, as dim as you can, your accuracy is always going to go up because it's a high contrast device, and your brain's the squirrel, man. And we get distracted with those things quickly, right? Because the next thing you know, it's very typical. You're looking at the target, and they bring the gun up, and suddenly there's this bright red thing in front of them, like right, cats with lasers. And and they start. You can see them doing it. They start doing this. You're like, you're looking at the dot, aren't you? Yeah. Blink, breathe, and quit looking at the dot, and suddenly the gun stabilizes, and they break the shot.
Right. Because
their brain's like, oh, that's shiny. I want, that looks more fun. Right. So it gets very distracted. But yeah, they're unlimited. That's the nice thing about them. So at distance, sure, red dot's incredibly accurate.
Yeah.
As long as I can see the target and the red dot's on it, and I do a good trigger press, you'll hit the target.
I noticed that I'm actually a huge fan of yours when you actually bring it up to your face, because there's a lot of people that come up and they're still shopping for their dot, right? And they can't find their dot a lot of the times. But I was just wondering, what do you do to practice in order to do that first or initial engagement?
How do I practice that engagement?
Yeah.
Well, it's part of your presentation. So, two key things that'll help you here. I hate to give these away because then you won't come to class, but come to class. I'll tell you the truth. But it's incredibly important how important your pinky is in the grip of a gun.
How so?
The problem is with anytime that we're gripping the gun, if we apply either of these fingers, we're torquing the gun this way or this way. They're significantly stronger, so we get torque in the gun. But if I apply pinky pressure, the gun just only does this. And it's what we need. Again, it's all coming down to the angle of the way these dots function.
Yes.
In closed emitters or open emitters, it doesn't matter. The dot functions the same. Okay. A closed emitter simply means they put an extra piece of glass on the back end of it to protect it from the elements.
Yeah.
It's marketing, right? It works really well. It's great. I don't particularly like them. I think they're too. I find them too claustrophobic.
Yeah.
I like a big open emitter. Have red dots for a very long time. I've never had shot in the rain, shot in the mud. I've never had an issue with an emitter getting clogged. But okay. So because rain still gets on the front and back anyways. So now I've got two levels of rain I got to deal with instead of just one.
The front and the back.
Front.
Okay. Right.
But back to your original question. So your grip is important. That pinky keeps the gun aligned correctly, because if I relax that and the gun comes up a little bit, what's happening to the angle of my dot? If my gun is pointed up, my dot's here. So now it's really, if we were to draw a line from the dot, it's down here. I don't see it.
Yeah.
As soon as I grab that pinky, the gun levels, and now it's into my eyes as long as I'm where I need to be.
Right.
So it's like anything in life. You put a target on the wall and you make sure your gun's unloaded and safe, and you're in a safe environment, and you sit there and you draw 100,000 times and present the dot and present the dot and present the dot until you got it locked in.
Yeah.
And then you do it single-handed until you got it locked in. You do it support hand until you got it locked in, and you just keep doing it.
Are you serious? Hours and hours of dry firing?
Well, that are hours and hours of training, but it's not hours and hours of dry firing. It's if you did something for 3 minutes a day, 2 days a week, so you put 6 minutes into it, in a couple of months you'd have it down.
Well, they say 300 times you own it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do it 10 times
in
a
started.
week. And, I don't know the math. In 30 weeks should be good. It depends on how much time you want to put into it. But it just comes down to that, because you have to change. The presentation changed a little bit based on iron sights. Iron sights, you say, is here, and red dot is a little lower, just a tiny bit. So, you have to make those adjustments.
Yeah.
But again, it also, and this, I can say with all honesty, the size of the dot really doesn't ultimately matter in the sense of the size of the mechanism. I love SROs. Like I love Trigicon SROs. They're awesome. They're giant. They're freeing. They're great.
It's like a widescreen TV for me.
Yep. But I mean, I run our RMRs on my carry guns because they're smaller, but I don't have any trouble finding it because I'm not seeing the actual mechanism. You're only seeing the dot. And in some ways, the smaller ones are easier because they eliminate really quickly, right? I don't have a big box that I'm trying to see through.
The housing.
Yeah, the housing.
Okay,
so the housing disappears when it's small.
Oh, okay.
So I like that. That's why the SRO I think is successful because it's not a very big housing.
Yeah.
It looks big from the side, but when you're behind it, it's round, which is counter to the rest of the gun.
Right.
And it's a psychological thing because they were very smart in doing this. Because if you look at all the other red dots, when you're behind them, they're the same shape as the gun.
Yes.
So your brain's like, oh, this is all part of the gun. And when you have this counter shape that's very round, your brain just kind of eliminates it altogether. That's what I've always enjoyed about the SROs is they fundamentally just disappear.
Yeah.
Because it's unlike anything else in the gun. So your brain just ignores it, and suddenly there's just a dot there.
Well, just like on my my PCC and so forth, I just see the dot.
Yeah.
Right. Well, actually, it's a halo, so I do like readings and stuff.
Yeah. I don't see a dot. I tell people all the time because people ask me, they go, "What do you?" I'm like, I don't see a dot. I see an egg.
Yeah.
I see an egg with a really bright corner.
Ta-da.
And I use which part do you shoot? The bright corner.
Yeah. As soon as it runs across the target, right? Yeah. I just crack that shot.
Yeah. I had a student recently that was like, "Oh, my stigmatism's terrible," and I said, "Okay. Well, number one, let's look at your brightness. And two, I don't want to tell you this, but we're going to have to look at your dot. There is a quality difference and a stigmatism difference when it comes to dots.
Fuzzy borders and stuff.
Yeah, so I had him look at a couple of my guns.
Okay.
And he's like, oh, that's a dot. I'm like, yep. So, unfortunately, some of the good manufacturers, shout out to Trigicon. I've been running those for a long time. But I run those specifically because before when I started on red dots, my astigmatism was really bad. And it was one of the very few things that didn't flare or go weird on me.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. That and EOTechs didn't affect my astigmatism. So that's why I run EOTechs on rifles because it doesn't bother me.
So teaching new shooters and so forth, is that the first thing you try to evaluate?
I always try to evaluate. I always want to know, the key things I want to know about a new shooter as an instructor is, number one, is there any physical things we need to be aware of? Do you have arthritis in the hands? Do you have any things of that nature? And then the next thing we do is optical. Obviously, what's your eye dominance? We need to figure that. Are you cross-dominant, non-cross-dominant? But it's interesting. Every now and then you run into a person who has whatever their eye dominance is, say it's right, doesn't matter, but it's their worst eye.
Yes.
And you're just like, huh.
So right-hander with a dominant left eye, right?
No, right-hander with a dominant right eye that's crappy. Okay. And their left eye is really good.
How do you fix that?
You send them back to the optometrist and don't have it. Because they'll set it up. They're like, well, this is my good eye, but it's my reading glasses eye, and this is my distance eye.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, we'll figure this out. So it's more challenging. I'm not giving those secrets away. So it's more challenging to deal with that, but it's definitely doable. So obviously we eliminate any physical things we need to be aware of. Also, too, in that physicality is also psychological. You want to know psychologically where they are.
Yeah.
Because I get people that are super happy to be here, and it's the first time. And you have other people that have just I'm here because of a trauma, and you want to know. You want to know
like tendonitis and
a psychological trauma. Could be. An SA trauma could be some of that. So you want to be prepared for that, and they're there, and you give that. So you if you care enough about what you do, you have to spend a few moments with every one of your students to find out where they're at mentally.
Yes.
Because they're there for a million different reasons, and they're all going to react differently.
Yes.
I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've had shoot their first shot and cry on the range.
Really?
Yeah. It's from standpoints of different. Either it's I've had both men and women. People. Especially somebody who's survived some kind of trauma and they feel very empowered for the moment. That's great. Or it's historically significant to them because, maybe 50 years ago their dad was the first person who taught them how to shoot and they haven't shot then, and now they're here and they're remembering their, So it's always a variety of things.
Same stimulus.
Same stimulus.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to get those things out of the way. Obviously learn the eye dominance. Figure out if they're wearing glasses, that's usually a telltale sign that something's going on.
Right.
So you want to find out what that is. How are you set up? Is it progressives? Is it non-progressives?
Yeah.
Is it a single prescription, or you have one set up for mono and one set up for something else? So you get all that out of the way, and then you rack your brain for a minute and go, okay, let's try this. Hold the gun upside down and shoot over the mirror, and we'll make this work. It's we figure something out to make it work. But sometimes that will also force the selection of what they shoot. Certain eye things are too difficult to overcome with iron sights.
Yeah.
So, but they don't want to make the investment in red dots. So it's fine. We'll teach you how to point shoot.
Okay.
And you make them accurate out to 7-10 yards point shooting, just using their deficiencies in their vision to fix those. Or they can't handle that, so you start them on iron sights to build that good repetition, that good presentation. Or you go red dot.
What I see is guys that are actually like they're right-handed, right, but they're left dominant, right? So
get that a lot. 33% of the population is cross dominant.
How do you fix that?
That's easy.
It's have them shoot left-handed?
No, that would be the easiest thing to do in the world. But typically, people who are now, for like full disclosure here, I'm left-handed.
What?
Yeah, I know. I'm left-handed. I mean, if you see me right, I'm left-handed, but I'm right eye dominant. So technically, I'm cross dominant, but I shoot right-handed. I can shoot left-handed just fine.
Right.
I just do it. But it's much easier to teach people right-handed because they can see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. If I stand in front of them,
right,
which is not a good thing to do with guns, to stand in front of people and demonstrate stuff.
Yeah. Right.
So when you're standing next to them, right-handed works great because they're like, oh, okay, we see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now, left-handed is no problem for me, but I am cross-dominant, which means I'm part of that population because I'm technically a left-handed person with a right dominant eye. This left eye it's a piece of junk is what it is. It's a useless piece of junk. It doesn't work very well at all.
Trauma or?
No, just
doesn't work.
Bad genetics. Blame my parents. I don't know. I just,
damn them.
I was wearing glasses in kindergarten, man. I was, So,
okay, wrong show, man.
Yeah, wrong show. Where's Dr. Phil? So I'm already there, but so this is, right? No, you just simply can't the gun. The old school was that we got the head to turn. Right?
Yeah, right.
I saw a lot of guys with head turning.
Right.
And the downside on head turning is obviously it's terrible for your neck. It's terrible for your shoulders.
Right. And
you're also using your nose gets in the way.
Yes.
It does because your brain's like, hey, there's this thing I can't.
Yeah, it does.
So it's a bandwidth issue because your Photoshop starts working extra hard when it doesn't need to. You're also using some of the poorest part of your vision, which is your peripheral vision, to try to finite either a front sight or a target at distance. So there's so many negatives to it. But it was kind of the standard way for a very long time to teach cross-dominant people how to shoot. If they could figure it out, they were cross-dominant, first off. If they figured that out, and they would just go, hey, turn your head, because it was a simple solution, but it's a complex resolution to it. It really makes for a happy shooter.
That is fascinating.
And I don't remember the genesis of it, but it's been a number of years. I just started teaching people to rotate the gun. And when they started doing that, everything changes for them.
Yes.
So it was funny because I had a couple of years ago, I was working with some Rangers, and the guy, he's clearly cross-dominant. This is how he shoots. I mean, he does do rifle right-handed because he's like, it was too embarrassing to shoot rifle left-handed, so he just toughs it out. But pistol, and he was turning his head really badly. And I asked him, I said, you get headaches and neck ache, don't you? Oh, yeah, all the time, man. Yeah. Every training class. I'm like, try this. And he was just, this is like a godsend. He was like, I'm going to have to train the shit out of this, right? He goes, I'm going to have to spend, because I've been doing this for decades, right? He's going to have to just get a vet cone and put it on and not turn his head.
Right.
But he reached out to me after that, about 6-7 months later, and he's like, best thing ever. He goes, I just went on the range and just trained. He goes, I don't even turn anymore, but man, it's all gone.
Now it's all
and I shoot better
memory.
too. He goes, all right, shoot better. Because the problem is, as soon as you turn your head, you have all these alignment issues that are happening. So you're really not correcting the shooting significantly. You're only cursorily correcting the problem. So we just cant the gun. I mean, I always make a joke that it's it's not a full Compton camp, cant over, but it's more of a Santa Ana, just a little gangster, and we're just looking for that alignment. So, and and people, it's interesting because they come up and they'll do this. We're not rolling it horizontal. So what we do to correct that is we just tell them, just take your right hand and just point. And most people point like this.
Yes.
Very few people point like this.
Right.
This is not a natural movement.
Yeah, it's...
Right? We point.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there it is. If we put the gun in your hand now, see that cant?
Woo.
That's all you got to do. Oh, okay. And they figure it out. And then they start seeing the alignment with iron sights, and they're shooting skyrockets.
Well, ejection's a little strange, but
It's not that strange. Yeah. It comes down eventually, so it all works, and it works really well for them, and everything goes away. So they get that fundamental alignment. They get a much better vision picture, and then depending again on the severity of their dominance or any issues going on with the right eye, I'd say in my experiences it's about a 50-50 split. When they moved into a red dot, 50% of them can just now run the gun normally down the center of their face, and 50% of them will continue to can't. Just because the right eye is just not strong enough.
Right.
It's their brain is too wired.
Okay.
It's really because one of the tricks we do in the red dot class is obviously when we do our red dot class, we turn off, the first thing we do is turn the red dots off. We tape them up. You don't need it. We're going to tape up your red dot. You can't see it. Not the front, the back. So you can't see through it at all.
Okay.
Because point shooting is the fundamental. If we can teach you how to point shoot, and then the red dot comes super easy. So we get them to do that, and then we switch the tape over, and we put the tape on the front, and we test to see if they have the stereo vision capability. So if you can bring the gun up, looking at your target, and you can't see through the housing, but the dot's still on the target, and you see a full picture of the target, then your brain's capable of dealing with the ping. Now, we always have a percentage of students that are like, no, doesn't work, right? Okay, well, you give them about 5 minutes.
Yep.
We'll have them shut an eye to kind of say, oh, okay, great. So they'll get that confidence, and then you have them kind of get that eye open a little bit, and then suddenly by the end of class, like, oh yeah, that's no problem. It starts to work. So the brain learns that pretty quickly, but not everybody picks it up right away.
Right. So they're off paper, and then they bring it back.
No, they're not even off paper. Like, I can't see anything.
Oh, Jesus.
There's nothing. Okay. Well, close your right eye, and they go, oh, there it is. Right. There's it. Okay. Well, you're definitely cross-dominant or dom. And then, we'll have them get confident doing that, but make sure the gun's staying in the center, and then eventually, half hour later, we're like, open that eye up. And
that's fascinating.
Oh, there's the stereo.
Yeah.
So it works for them, and then we'll eventually rip the Band-Aids off, and then they get to shoot really quickly. But they'll shoot most of the day taped up. They shoot almost the entire day with not being able to see through the housing. Because number one, it teaches them that it's all about presentation.
Yeah.
It's all about where the gun's pointed, and their confidence skyrockets. And then at the end of the day, you tear the tape off, and they're like, oh, can I put the tape back on? I mean, a lot of them they shoot better with the tape on than they do off. So it's interesting.
How rewarding does it make you feel when you fix this?
Oh, I love it. It's great. I mean, it's the reason I teach.
A small little adjustment. Yeah. Oh my God, thank you so much.
It was fun when just when you and I were shooting that your little macro. Just watching you get all excited because you were now hitting the steel. You're all pissed off that I took it and hit the steel.
Well, I always had this problem. I even talked to Viking about this stuff, right? It's not one specific thing. It's like in here somewhere, and for me, that's just not good enough.
Well, if you're shooting circular, it's part of your recovery.
Yes,
we've talked about that before.
Yeah, right,
too.
But that little change, I sat there and went, what?
Well, it always comes down to that. It's when you start off with new shooters, it's large gross changes, big structural changes. You need to stand this way, you need to hold the gun this way. You get to intermediate, people maybe they're in a holster, they're working stuff. You start finiting those changes a little bit. The biggest area there, though, is the draw, which I spend a lot of time. Draw screws up more stuff than it makes better.
Well, yeah, there's just so many moving parts to that. Sure.
Yeah. So we really work on how do you get the gun out, and then all this kind of fun stuff. And then when you get down to the more advanced shooters, you're a little bit more experienced doing stuff. They've got their draw pretty well. They're doing red dot pretty well, but they're still struggling with stuff. It just comes down to the tiniest little adjustments, splitting your dot in half. A little pinky push, hand placement, regrip placement.
But that's like night and day for me. Yeah. Those small little fine tuning pieces that you have, I'm like, oh man, this is golden.
I fundamentally believe that you put a firearm of any type in anybody's hand and give them the large enough target, they'll hit it without any training. Right.
You make that thing smaller.
Boom. Right. And you start making it smaller, it gets worse. It's like trigger. Everybody shoots great at 3 yards. Right. You put
not me. I hate 3 yards.
When I say everybody, though, you're always an exception to that rule. There's everybody and there's Paul.
I'm the other direction, right? So you get me back 25 yards and something totally different happens.
Yeah. Well, that for you, that's a brain game, though.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But if you treat, and one thing I always tell shooters is treat every target at a long distance. If you're shooting at 3 yards, treat it like you're shooting at 15.
Yeah.
If you're shooting at 15, push it out. But if you're anywhere less than 15, shoot it like you're shooting 15. Because what do? We all slow down. We all get better. We start we're conscious of the trigger. We make better choices.
Yeah.
And suddenly they shoot better.
Yeah.
Right. We get lazy when we shoot up close because it's like, oh.
Well, you know what they say. You get you want to see a competition, or you want to beat a competition shooter. Just make sure the targets are really close. Mm-hmm. Because they start going too fast and they start just spraying things everywhere, right? And that's true.
Well, that's why I always make you shoot at 3-yard targets, because it's fun.
It freaks me out.
I know it's fun to watch you just.
You just like watch me squirm.
I do.
What's your favorite sighting system?
My favorite sighting system?
Yeah, out of the iron sights, carry optics, lasers, optics.
I like them all because I
You do a combination of.
I do. Like I said, I carry guns that don't have any type of optic on them.
Okay.
I carry guns with iron sights only.
Yeah.
I practice regularly with the gun with no sights on it at all. It takes more mental effort. Point shooting, I find it a little exhausting, just because just from a mental standpoint, there's a lot more here. Not up close. I mean, just the quick, fast stuff. That's easy. But when I'm trying to shoot at distance with point shooting, I'm shooting at 25 yards. That's a mental exhaustion.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would. Yeah, it's
fun though. But it hones you. I mean, it's like grinding on a stone with a knife blade. For about 3 days, I'm a really solid shooter. And something it all goes away and go back. You have to go back to the range again. It's like F1 performance. You get it tuned in just right. And you pick another gun up with a red dot on it. You're like, oh, this is, like picking candy off. This is so easy. Yeah. And then about 3 days later, you're like, oh, I'm struggling again. Overall, though, I very much enjoy red dots.
Yeah.
Just because they mesh with my current vision standard. I have, like I said, I'm a reader's wearer. I got them everywhere.
Yeah.
So anything closer than this gets a little fuzzy. So with red dots, you're looking at that target, and that makes it really easy for me.
So these are perishable skills.
Yeah, every shooting skill is perishable.
Yeah. How often should one train, practice, and so forth with?
Well, do you want the financial CEO or marketing guy to answer that? It'd be like every day with me for 7 hours. But no, realistically, I think you need to. If first off, how important it is to you. That's where
depending on who you are. Yes, that totally makes sense.
If you carry a gun, I think you should train with it regularly, and I don't mean going to the range and standing in a stall and shooting 100 rounds at a target at 3 yards. No. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, do anything. Go. There are a million targets to download. Go download a target. Go run the skill. I mean, go on Defensively Minded with Pinnacle, and we have a whole set of targets. I have one called the 50.
I have a whole stack upstairs.
Yeah, you got the 50 round thing.
Yes.
That's easy. It's single hand, off hand.
Yep.
That'll work you through. That's a great way to spend some ammo. But that, or take a class, attend something regularly. That structure is good for you.
Which you have quite a few classes. Lead and Coffee is the fundamental ones that I always go to.
Yeah, Lead and Coffee are blasted FT3.
Next one is February 25th.
You can find that at FT3 Tactical under training, Lead and Coffee.
You have Core Basics.
Got Core Basics. I recommend too. Every now and then, it's not a bad thing to come back. We do a core basic every month, every other month at FT3. You can find that on that website.
Right.
And then I follow that up through Pinnacle with a class called Skills.
Skills?
Skills 1, 2, 3. And it's a class that basically we just recover for you. It's designed for new shooters, but I have a ton of the advanced and intermediates come because it's kind of going back to where you start. What happens when the gun doesn't go off.
Okay.
So we cover those things.
Right.
But then we work a lot on grip and trigger. And by the end of class, we have brand new shooters shooting at 15, 25 yards on steel.
Wow.
Because we're teaching them the good things. But it's really good for the advanced guys to come back and kind of, let's sharpen that blade a little bit.
Which
slows them down.
I always come back. So I think that's, for me, it's very important. There are just certain fundamentals that I can't live without. And when I'm running around with my hair on fire, I tend to forget a lot of that stuff. And that's, thank you very much for grounding me every time I come back. But you also have your private one-on-one stuff. So
I do. Yeah.
Which I benefited from. Yeah. So I just pulled your time. I get an hour of it, and I get to just talk about all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah, those are far and few between. I don't have a ton of time for those, but for somebody in dire need, I certainly make the time for it. Or somebody needs special stuff. You get a special exception. Everybody else, and there's Paul. So we'll deal with it from that standpoint. But those are always good times too, because you really get to hone in on somebody. But I am happy with the way that I'm able to do my trainings. I like to think that we give a lot of personalized time in our trainings.
Which you do.
We don't run very big classes, so we can do that.
Right.
I don't run a class with 30 people in it.
So most of the stuff can be found on the website, right? FT3 website. As
FT3
well as
Tactical. You can go to training, find the Lead and Coffee, find the basic classes. You can also find a direct link to Defensively Minded under vendors there. You can also go to defensivelyminded.com to find all my Pinnacle stuff where if you want my private time or if you want my class time. At FT3 or outside FT3. So.
Right. Doesn't matter what level of shooter you are, from very beginning, never picked up a gun, all the way to advanced competitive shooter, such as myself. There are a lot of things that I've gotten out of your class. I still get that stuff out of your class. I consider it a staple to my training.
I appreciate that.
I would have to say, because it's a serious thing when you're coming up, and I don't have a large margin of error to go with, especially when I'm moving.
Yeah.
I kind of fall back on your training and so forth to get me through the match.
Well, moving's a whole nother conversation.
Which you and I, as nauseum, I know, I get it.
Moving with the red dot's a whole nother conversation.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time out here. I know you are extremely busy, and I'm definitely fortunate that you share some of your
My pleasure.
Your awesome stuff. But thank you very much for doing that. Please consider being a part of our shooting community, building relationships around safe gun practice and IDPA competition. My name is Paul G, and this is
Michael Hernandez.
Please be safe, and we shall see you on the range.
Like, share, subscribe.